52 days until the NHL season starts again, and oh my, come quick enough. But in the meantime, let's get into some pre-season reviews and let's get into the Detroit Red Wings. Let's have a discussion about how their upcoming season looks. I'm going to hand over to Jaden to just run you through some lineups and some season changes that they made.
Yeah, sure. I guess we'll go through season changes because as a Detroit fan, you may already know some of the team already. Really, the free agent signings, the only really notable ones is Mason Appleton there, and then the James Van Riemsdyk. Just a lot of depth signings and a couple extensions. Well, one extension for Elmer Soderblom. And just in regards to the trades, obviously the big one in regards to John Gibson with Mrazek going the other way, and just a few draft pick changes hands, and then Vladimir Tarasenko leaves for essentially nothing, future considerations. But they get that cap space back. But the question is, do they need that cap space? Because they got 12.4 at the moment. They probably still have needs or wants in regards to the roster, and I guess I can just raffle off pretty quickly. Got it on the screen there. So you got Larkin, Raymond, DeBrincat, Kopp, Comfer, Rasmussen, Kane, Appleton, Bergeron, Van Riemsdyk, Mazur, Casper, and Leonard in your forward lineup. And then you've got in defense Seider, Sherratt, Hull, Gustafsson, Johansson, Edvinson, Bernard, and Lagerson. And then obviously Gibson and Talbot as your goalies. You've got probably Soderblom, who's currently in the non-roster and
Yeah,
whatnot
I'd
as
expect
well.
him to come up.
Yeah, at some point in the season at least. So yeah, that's the roster. It's they got 12.4 mil to work with to add, or eat bad contracts if that has to happen. It doesn't like they've addressed one big issue, which was the goaltending.
Mm-hmm.
They've even done that with the management. They got replaced their goaltending coach. Um, they've replaced video coach, and I know what's his name, McClellan, I think is his name, is pretty. Their coach is pretty high on videotapes and reviewing games. So I think that's probably why they made that move there as well. All in all, they addressed the goaltending, which is really good.
Yeah.
Losing Tarasenko, even though he had a bad season, it, you get the money, but like, do you need that money? Like, you're not using it at the moment. So
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what they do with that.
That was a strange one for me. Like, I know he didn't have the best season last season, obviously, but and at 4.75 mil on his cap hit, it kind of makes sense, to get rid of a player like that. But it usually only makes sense to get rid of a player like that when you need the cap space. And considering they haven't used it, maybe they needed that cap space, and so they made them. But then the move that they were looking for to use that cap space just didn't come. I don't know, but it's definitely a strange one. I mean, I don't think they're going to miss him too much. It's just if you get Tarasenko firing, he could be one hell of a player. And I just when you're not using the cap space that you sort of gave up, you gave him up for, it kind of just leaves me wondering. I feel like that, just having him in the team could really help them down the line. But in saying that, I still think that they've made some decent moves, albeit they're very little moves. The pickup of Appleton, I think, is an underrated depth
Yeah,
piece.
I'm pretty high on him. Probably not for
I
2.9 million, but I'm still high on him.
Yeah, but you see how much though the free agents got paid this off season. Like they were all pretty much overpaid mostly. Um, but talking about one who's not really paid, Van Riemsdyk at $1 million. Also rate that pickup. He was quite good for Columbus last season. 36 points in 71 games. Solid. Bottom six sort of piece there, and we know what he brings as well. I like what they've done, but most of all, as you said, the goaltending. John Gibson, they've got themselves a goaltender. We know Cam Talbot can be a good backup. and this has been what's held them back for so long. They've just had such poor goaltending every season, and now hopefully having right, number one goaltender with a really good sort of backup that can pretty much share 50 and 30 games, these two between them. I'm pretty hopeful for them. I'm not sure, especially with the strength of that Atlantic division, if they will be able to break through, but I do expect that they're going to be around the mark.
Yeah, I think it comes down to the coach a lot. I know he's a very systematic coach. Likes the video reviews. He likes to be structured in regards to the way they play. Doesn't do too much dump and chase. Likes to control the puck. And I think that's key. That's maybe a reason why Tarasenko is gone. Is maybe he doesn't fit that system the way they would like. Um, and the problem is I don't see the firepower that they will need to get across the Atlantic. But I think with the right system, it could bring out the best in some of these players because I really do like Appleton as a depth player. You've obviously got Kane, Casper, Larkin, Raymond, all that. Van Riemsdyk, for 1 million is a good pickup. Like they've got pieces there, and a lot of it relies on John Gibson. Like I said, they have replaced the goaltending coach. They've basically replaced their goaltender, addressed the biggest need, and they made it the right moves. I just wondering if they made enough moves to make it better.
Mm.
Because they've been in this limbo state for probably 3 seasons or something like that now, where like
Yeah.
they're kind of there, but they're not quite there. And that's my concern is that it is continuing this like limbo state. And when you're seeing other teams like Ottawa or Montreal really pushing and getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and they've got to
Mm.
compete against that. That's my concern with this team.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. The big thing I think they've got going for them is players like Lucas Raymond, Marcus, Marco Casper, and Moritz Seider. That's their real young core. And I know Casper's still quite young at 21, but Raymond's 23 now. He's starting to move into that 20s. We saw what he did last season, putting up almost a point a game, just shy of 30 goals. I expect him to take another step. Moritz Seider, we know he's a solid defender, on a fantastic cap hit, to be said. Um, and then you've got to add in that, they've got Nate Danielson to come through as well, who I don't know how much he'll play this season, but I do suspect he will be in the team, as whether it's that 9-game trial or whether he sort of does play a little bit more will sort of come down to how he goes in camp, I guess. But I just like the fact that those young players over the last loop for 2 or 3 years, but Raymond was 20, 21, 22. Seider was 21, 22, 23. Casper was either like not in the lineup outside of last year. So these young players that are going to be detrimental to their lineup, they're starting to get older. They're starting to get to those ages. DeBrincat is obviously still in his prime. Same with Larkin. Like I just like the players that are hitting their primes. You look through this team; they've got a good mix of, um, young players in their core and some veterans as well. So I do expect that these guys are going to take a step this season. The question is really going to come down to, can they take as big of a step or more than the other teams in the Atlantic?
Yeah. Well, it really comes down to the defense and then the
Mm.
goaltending because, you can improve your goaltending all you want, but you still need a defense in front of it.
Yeah.
And that is the thing. So I'm wondering how good the defense will be and then how good the goaltending will be in front of it. They've got a lot of their draft picks still, only missing really their second from next year's, not this year's coming up. And they can make some big moves if they pull the trigger. And I'm wondering, are they at the point where they should start pulling the trigger? Should they be getting a 10 million esque player that just
Mm.
slides in and helps bolster that depth so that other players go down the lineup and then you got like 3 lines running instead of 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
You don't have to pull the trigger, but they got a lot of small contracts and it's being managed well on the cap side. But eventually you got to pull it, and like Vegas do, and constantly going for it and at the cap limit constantly. Yeah, I'm interested to see how they go. I think I want to see them not be the roller coaster team that they've always been,
Mm-hmm.
and be consistent and play a certain way for the full year instead of like you can see like, oh wow, they're a playoff team, they're really going to do it, and then it just like,
Glimpses.
wow, this team is nowhere near playoffs. So
Yep.
that's what I want to see, and hopefully the new coaching changes make that happen,
Yeah.
or alleviate the pain from the players to be able to do that.
Yeah, and like that's probably one of the big things as well is that roller coaster. Because last season, as you said, they have those periods where you look at them and go, "Damn, these guys are going to be dangerous." That was the start of last season. They looked dangerous, and then they just went like they were one of the most exciting teams to watch, and then they just fell off, and it's just
They kind of reminded me of
I,
Buffalo. Like they can be exciting, but then they just disappear.
yeah, and it's disappointing, and so be because, as we said, the goaltending really there. The defense could let them down at times as well. But yeah, look, I hope for Detroit fans' sake that they just come out firing. And I really do hope they can snatch a wild card spot. Because I think it would be fantastic for this franchise and their fans.
Well, they need it.
Just to get them
They
back.
they
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 need
need
they
it.
need they need to get back. Yeah, like
Yeah, 100%.
Larkin's 29 now, so like it
Hmm.
kind of has to start happening from this year onwards, doesn't it?
Yeah,
If
and
you're
I
gonna
don't
if you're
think.
gonna miss out, you're gonna lose in the last 2 games of the season.
Yeah, I look. I think they are set up for some consistent success going forward. I don't think it's if they don't make it this season, they're doomed
No.
because they've got such a great prospect pool and their depth chart, like the youth coming through is fantastic. So it's not like if they lose this year, wow, they've got all these UFAs gone. Their good players are too old. No, they're
Mm.
not. Like Larkin is, their captain. He's 29. DeBrincat is 27. Their other key players, like I said, Raymond, Sider, like they're all young. You got Edvardson who's 22. Um, you've got Nate Danielson coming up. Even Soderblom, although he's more a depth player, but he's only 23 or 24.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're an aging team. They're quite young. I just think they have had the Detroit fans in this position for so long and been teasing these Detroit fans that they just need to make the playoffs. They don't even need to do anything. They could get swept in the first round, and I think most Detroit fans would just be happy they made it. They're
Yes.
happy they got
Yeah.
over the hump.
That is the big key. I think
Yeah.
they've only got a few people over the age of 30. Like half their defense is, and then you got Patrick Kane basically.
Yeah.
Um, the one key thing, if you're talking about depth, I think Sebastian Kossa. Um,
Hmm.
I think he's a up and coming. It was their first round in 2021.
Yep.
Goaltender. They've now got a new goaltending coach. Hopefully that
Hmm.
helps him develop. He's only 22, probably still maybe a few years away from NHL, but that is bright and looking at it. And if he can become a backup to Gibson at some point, if it was crazy and it was this year, but if it was in the future, that'd be great.
Hmm.
But that's an exciting prospect to look out for is their goaltender, their Cossa. And
Exactly. If he can turn into something, if he can turn into what everyone hoped he would be, it shows you how good they are because you get a couple of good years of Gibson. Koza comes in and takes over. Gibson back up. And you've got a good goaltending tandem for the next 5-6 years, especially with Talbot still probably having a couple of seasons left in him himself. So look, they're looking good finally on the tending front. It's just a question now of can everything else come with it?
yeah, that's pretty much it. And can they score enough? I think they've got enough skill playmakers there to score enough, but I think that's I think they need to get it from the depth as well, and that's a big key. And I feel like the Appleton Van Riemsdyk is like undersung signings there, just because of their
Yeah,
depth. Like sure, you are losing. Who was it? Jeff Petrie and Alex Lyon. They were the two they basically the big keys they lost in their free agency.
nothing
Um,
too strenuous.
like it was nothing too strenuous, yeah, exactly. But
Mhm.
I'm really more interested in the coaching side of things. I think that might be a big deal that you don't normally you can see how a player plays because they're on the ice, making an impact. But I
Mhm.
feel like coaches, there's small moves in the off seasons. They don't get the headlines as they probably should sometimes. And I
Yeah.
feel like they've made some interesting key ones that might play a big deal this season. And we
All right.
hopefully see that with the goaltending.
Yeah, hopefully. All right, I've got two questions for you.
No one, yes. I don't know.
No and yes. Okay. Do you know what? That's actually very interesting. It depends on how I phrase these two. Um, I'm gonna phrase it like this. Do you still believe in the Isa plan?
Interesting. Do I still believe in the ISA plan? The thing that makes me believe in it is just cap contracts. There's nothing
Hmm.
like, oh my god, that's dead cap. That's
Yeah.
crazy. So there's always ways to structure it. My
Hmm.
issue with him is like he's never pulled the trigger and be like,
Yeah.
this is the year, and
Hmm.
that's why honestly Vegas I think does better than a lot of the teams in the league is because they're constantly going for it no matter what.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
teams need to start doing that. I know 32 teams doing it, it's not going to work out, but
Yeah.
you know, with the Atlantic Division kind of going in that swapping the table kind of situation, I feel like they need to pull it. So this is probably my last season. Um, like I can see the future, I see the build up, but
Yeah.
it's you gotta pull the trigger.
Yeah.
So I want to see the trigger pulled. They got 12 million in cap.
Yeah. All right. So cool. I agree with you. I think it's the last season. My next question, I guess, is, and this backs onto it as well because it becomes interesting. Do you like your gut feeling? Do you think Detroit make the playoffs this season?
It's hard because this is our first team that we've actually fully broken down in the
Hmm.
whole entire NHL. So without going
Yeah,
through
but
the other teams, um,
just more of a gut feeling. Like, what are
gut
you
gut
getting at this
feeling,
point?
like it's fighting for wild card. I can't see
Mhm.
any better. Um,
Yep.
I probably know, like ultimately, just because I feel like the Montreal or Ottawa will
Yep.
be that will take that bigger step this season.
Hmm.
I feel like they're more built for it. Um, so I feel like they'll be close, but because Montreal and Ottawa are getting better, they might not get that step.
I think their best opportunity here is going to come down to, because I can't see them. I agree with you. I can't see three. Um, but I think it could be how far does Toronto fall? Because I think at the
It
moment,
is an interesting one. Yeah.
yeah, I think at the moment my top three for the Atlantic would be, in no order, but Panthers, Lightning, Ottawa. And then I think it depends on how much the Rangers bounce back in the Metro, but the wild card teams are probably going to be Canadians, Leafs, Red Wings,
Mm.
Rangers. So I just can't see them getting past the Canadians at this point. They looked really good last season, especially in the back end. If the Rangers bounce back, that's going to make things even harder. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't think it's a be all and end all, but I just my gut feeling as well says they won't make it this season, unfortunately.
Mm.
Um, but I mean, let us know what you think in the comments, guys. If you think that it's their year, they're going to make it. If you got any reason why you think that they're secured, or if you're feeling a bit shaky as well. But yeah, my gut feelings with you there, Jaden. I just don't think they'll do it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Like if they were using their cap space and had probably 6 million players that actually play like 6 million players, in the team, I feel like that pushes them over the line, and that's what I mean. You got to pull the trigger at some point. This team, has built a lot of draft picks and depth, and pull the trigger.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, you're not wrong.
all right. No, thanks for tuning in, guys. Let us know in the comments what you think of our analysis of the team, if right, wrong, and where you can go. If you're a Detroit fan, what you're looking for, and if you're expecting good things or not. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. But till next time, we'll catch you guys.
See you guys.